All right. I don't know where this is going to go tonight. I just needed to come over here and press record. There's just a lot of things on my mind. I am concerned for a whole lot of people. Looking around the world, I am going through the reports that I've seen. I'll talk about a major one that has just come up a few moments ago. If you are not on social media, getting your news directly from sources outside of mainstream media, um, you are probably like an ostrich. You've got your head in the ground, you got your head in the sand. You really maybe don't know what's going on around you. And that's exactly what those who are coming for you want you to believe. That's how they want you to be. And I'm going to do my best tonight to try to wake you up to some things. Some of you guys are wide awake. I know. I've talked to a lot of you guys. Some of you are. Some of you are not. I don't know where I'm going to go with all this here this evening, but I'm going to start with a couple of reports that I think you need to be aware of if you're not already. Um, so there's a major report out that came out, I don't know if it was today, within the last couple of days, from some of the major 401k funds that there have been more emergency need disbursements for people pulling from their 401ks than ever before. Now, that may mean something to you, it may not. Here's what that means for those of you guys who don't know. Normally, you put money into a 401k and you leave it there. There are penalties for withdrawing early from a 401k, but if you are pulling for emergency needs, yes, you will pay a penalty, a significant penalty. It's 10% at least, and then on up. I don't know all of the ins and outs of that, but there are stiff penalties, meaning most people will never do that. You would never want to do that unless you absolutely had to. This means that people do not have jobs, folks. This means that people are not being able to meet their normal day-to-day paycheck to paycheck bills: food, shelter, clothing, water, etc. That is the biggest report that I've seen. Other reports, if you have been listening, paying attention to any kind of news, there are food manufacturing plants just exploding, fires. I don't see anybody investigating, finding out why these are happening. We've got rail trains that are being derailed with chemicals that are burning cities. Fish are dying, they're just floating up in the rivers. You've got chickens, you've got all kinds of livestock and poultry coming up, dying. What about the ones who aren't dying and then they're being processed for food? I mean, the things that you really need to start thinking about, folks. We're talking about, I personally believe, now, mind you, everything I'm telling you tonight is my personal opinion. Everything here, I'm just speaking off the cuff here. My personal opinion. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about what I've been doing the last few days to prepare for my family. Each of us is responsible for our household. And I don't know. Look, I'm not here to grift. I'm not here to try to push you into selling Algo Box. But I am going to tell you here tonight, if you have not been serious about getting your stuff together, folks, it's now or never. My personal opinion is it is now or never. And if not now, then when? What is your plan? What do you think? Is it just like Netflix and chill all the time? Are you so into your shows that you're watching that you don't think of anything else? I don't know. I don't even know what people do anymore. But um, I'm concerned for the people who are even in our own program. Like, how much are you doing market replay? How seriously are you taking what you're doing if you're in our program right now? Are you actually recording your sessions? I'm getting a lot of people like not being able to figure out how to press record. Today, folks, there is no reason that you cannot record your stuff. There is no reason. You literally download, install OBS, you set up one scene, and you press record. I'm literally on OBS right now, and I know you're like, well, Vinny, you can do it. Listen, I can't do any video editing. You guys know I don't video edit. I come out here, I press the button on this OBS thing. This is all I can do. Okay, I press the button and we record or a live stream. Sure, I can drop all kinds of stuff inside of here. It's pretty neat, all little graphics and stuff, because it's easy. It is that easy. But you guys need to get serious about your trading. This is the time to get some extra capital because you're going to need it. Listen to me. I know this sounds like a grift. I am perfectly aware of how this sounds right now, but I am giving you a warning right now. My feeling in my gut, what I have been told by the Spirit, okay? I'm not saying, oh, I've heard a voice from God, but I am telling you, there's a scripture passage that says, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. I have pondered that Bible passage for many years, and it has sunk deep into me in a way that there was a time, there's many times, I think we all have this, where you want to know, well, how do I know when it's the voice of God guiding me and when it's not? And this passage kind of opened it up for me. Everybody's like, well, how do you know the will of God? That's tough. And I've heard a lot of pastors preach on this, and none of them really hit home to where it's like, no, it's like, get it from the Bible. What does the Bible say? I'm that kind of person. If you can tell me, well, the Bible says this, I'm down with it. You want to tell me your opinion and all sort of kind of BS, or I think it says something. No, listen. Here's what the Bible says. The Bible says, if you are delighting yourself in the Lord, you need to go and look that up now. Look up, define delight, take joy in. Listen, I'll make it real easy for you. There are some people on Twitter right now. If you're not following me on Twitter, you definitely should. At real Vinny Emini. You want to follow my handle over there. But there are people out there. Have you ever noticed it? It's almost like they enjoy evil. Okay? That type of person, these people who enjoy evil, who thrive on evil thoughts, evil doing, enjoy posting evil images, and they're drawn to darkness. That kind of person does not delight themselves in the Lord, okay? If that type of stuff bothers you, if that is something that you want to stay away from, and that you enjoy beautiful things, the beautiful things that God has created for us, that He has shown all around us, then you are a person who delights yourself in the Lord, in good things. Okay? If you delight yourself in the Lord, He will give you the desires of your heart. That first prepositional phrase, the if statement, is if you delight yourself in the Lord, then He will give you the desires of your heart. You guys follow that very simple programmatic language there. So don't trust your desire if this is not you. Okay, this message is not for you. If you're sitting here just seething and being like, oh, I can't wait for Vinny to say something. Listen, you're the evil turd that I'm talking about. You're the person who's going to burn in hell, and you've chosen that for yourself, and that's on you. But this message is not for you. Those of you who know who you are, who do delight yourself in the Lord, I'm talking to you. Once you delight yourself in the Lord, then you ask yourself, well, then now, what is the desire that God has put into your heart? You understand that passage is oftentimes read as delight yourself in the Lord, and then He'll give you what you want, because they're like, oh, He'll give you your desire. No, it's actually He will give you the actual desire itself. Full pause, think about that. He will give you the desire of your heart. Therefore, follow the desire. You follow me? This is the will of God for your personal life. This is the key to unlock, in my opinion. If you are a Christian, if you are a Bible-believing Christian, and you are seeking the truth, and you are seeking the best, you are seeking God's will, this is how you know how to do it, and you act. Now, all that being said, so I delight myself in the Lord, I delight myself in good things, and then I ask, well, what is the desire in my heart? What do I desire? What do I feel? And now I can trust the feelings that they are put there by God Himself. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, in all of the information and the things that I have been guided to and looked at, I have been given the desire for myself, take care of my family, and I have studied the Bible for many years at a very deep level, to the point where, at some point I had that existential crisis of, okay, what's the meaning of life? Why are we here? Yada, yada. I'm not here to give my whole story here tonight, but I will say that if it comes to Bible stuff, like, I know my stuff. I'm not saying I know everything, but I know enough. I know the answers that I need to know the answer to. And let me break a couple things down that I think are pertinent to today. You can look around you, and now there have been many people over centuries and decades of time where people have said, oh, we're at the end of days, we're at the end of days, blah, blah, blah. There are certain things, if you actually read scripture, you would know there are certain signs and there are certain things that have to take place before the end was really going to come. Okay, things like the rebuilding of the temple, all kinds of things like that that have not occurred yet, but that are on the cusp. You would have to have the technology. There's technology that did not exist in the past that exists now, and we're there. If you read into Revelations, everything from the pestilences to the forcing of people to take something in their body, we're already getting the test runs for this with the old jab. That, oh, well, you're not going to be able to go to restaurants, you're not going to be able to go to a grocery store, you're not going to be able to buy this, you're not going to be able to go to this event. I saw some guy at a poker tournament recently that was like, I went and finally got the jab because I wanted to be in this poker tournament. This type of stuff is now occurring. We are close to the end of days, in my opinion. If I'd like to hear your comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Listen, I would love to be wrong. I'll tell you right now. I hope and I wish I was wrong about this right now. I really do. Unfortunately, I'm not. And so then what are you going to do about it? Let's get to that part. So forget the woe is me stuff. There's plenty of people out there telling you about the end of the world and all the signs and whatnot. You can go and figure that out for yourself. But now, so what am I going to offer? What am I offering you? I'm offering a plan. I'm going to tell you my plan and what it's based off of. So everybody needs to roll back their mind, even if you haven't been in church for a long time, or maybe you need to refresh this story out for yourself, or maybe you've never heard the story of Joseph. And for that, listen, I would definitely go and go check out the story of Joseph. There's lots of not versions, but there's plenty of places and sources to go and get this information. I'm gonna give you the short version of it. Joseph had a bunch of brothers. He was given visions from the Lord, and he shared them with his brothers. His brothers got jealous. They threw him in a pit. He was sold off into slavery. From slavery, he was put into a man's house called Potiphar. And in Potiphar's house, even though he was a slave, he was the hardest worker. He did his work. He did his job well, even though he could have been totally jaded, getting sold from his family, his brothers, completely turning him over. And just, you can imagine some people be very bitter about that. Joseph was a different type of person. He persevered regardless. Okay, so this is a very powerful story. There's a lot of correlations to Jesus Christ in this whole story. Again, I recommend that you go and do some. There's a lot of pastors who have dug into this story. Okay, ironically, the same pastors dig into this story, but then here in the end, when it comes to this tough stuff here, they don't want to. I don't know what their whole scenario is. I feel like some of it's got to be like Satan stopping them from telling the truth. Why is this not being preached in the pulpits right now? Like, we are in the end of days. Why are you not preparing your flock? I don't understand it, but I'm going to do my best because I have been given this microphone by the Lord himself to come out here and speak. And that story, after he was in Potiphar's house, he was falsely accused by Potiphar's wife of doing bad things, got him thrown into jail. So now he's been falsely put into, a pit. Now he's been falsely put into a jail. In that jail, he's met a few people. He interprets a few people's dreams while he's down there. And then one of those guys happens to be the cupbearer to the king, who does get released from prison and goes back to his duties. Well, the Pharaoh at the time was having troublesome dreams. He would have these dreams, and he needed them to be interpreted. And this one day, he was troubled because he had brought all of his wise men, and the wise men could not interpret his dreams. And this cupbearer remembered Joseph out down in prison. And he said, hey, Pharaoh, why don't you go bring this guy I know, Joseph, who's in prison. He can interpret dreams. He accurately interpreted my dream. He told me that I would be cupbearer to the king again and that I would be released. And he told one of the other guys in there that it meant that he was going to die. He was accurate, blah, blah, blah. I told him the story. And again, I'm not going to go into all details of the story. Very cool stuff, though. You should go check it out. But the whole point of this is to lead up to how Joseph got in front of the king. So now Joseph is in front of the Pharaoh, the king of Egypt here. And Pharaoh is like, interpret my dream. He ultimately ends up interpreting his dream, and there are multiple dreams of things in the form of sevens. There were 7 fat cows, 7 skinny cows, and the 7 skinny cows ate the fat cows. And then there was another dream where there were the same thing with different sheaths, and the skinny sheaths ate the big sheaths. This type of thing went on and on. and there were 7 of them. Anyhow, Joseph prayed about it to the Lord. He got the interpretation, and it said what he told the king was that this means that there will be 7 years of feast before there will be 7 years of famine in your land. And this is what God is trying to tell you in your dream. He's like, oh, wow. What do you think we should do about this? He calls his wise men in again, and they're all like, well, I don't know. We have ideas. He's like, well, what does Joseph think we should do? Well, Joseph gives him the idea. He prays, and the Lord gave him the wise idea to say, well, for the next 7 years, we should create new granaries to store up for the 7 years of famine. I want you to remember that and think about his preparation was not, oh, well, let's learn how to grow, I don't know, grow some plants underground. Let's learn how to, I don't know, let's house a bunch of chickens because of this or that. No, what he did was he stored food for 7 years. Enough for how long? For 7 years of famine. Okay, cool. Joseph ends up being put in charge of all this stuff, becomes second in command, yada yada. That's the whole in the story. That's usually where it ends. But now let's full swing back to where we currently are. If you know anything about Revelations, how long is the tribulation? Because there's a lot of debate around things like, you know, is there such thing as a rapture, right? Is the rapture a real thing? The word rapture is not ever found in the Bible, but it's given a name and needs to be called up. And this whole thing that you know, there are some Christians who believe that that God's going to come and save them from the tribulation, that they won't have to go through the tribulation of 7 years whatsoever. Some believe that it's going to be 3.5 years in, and they'll be, you know, saved from having to go through all the tribulation. And some believe that it will be, you know, you'll be here all the way through the end. And there's lots of reasons and whys how that can be interpreted. So here's my interpretation. People have asked, so Vinny, do you think we're going to be raptured? Do you think we're going to have to deal with the 7 years? Well, there's 2 trains of thought there. Here's how I break it down. You go to Matthew 20, and I go, well, what did Jesus say about it? Okay, because there's, you know, people talk about, well, they quote Paul. They're like, well, Paul said blah, 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 blah. And of course, with the stuff that he's saying, I was, you know, went and looked at the, let me just talk about that passage. So the scenario with Paul, when he's talking about will be caught up, and the people were asking him, well, what happens to the Christians who have already died? Like, what's going to happen to them? And he says, the dead in Christ shall rise first, and then we will be caught up with them. This is a passage I have a real problem with because of a couple of things. When Jesus was on the cross, and right next to him he had 2 thieves, one on one side, one on the other, and one of them, he had said, today, I tell you, you will be with me in paradise. Okay, the other one was going to go to hell. The other one, he said, you're going to be with me today. Okay, so when he died, did it sound like he was going to be in a grave, and then all of a sudden later on, when the rapture occurs, he was going to pop up out of the grave, and then we're all going to be caught up in the air, and then that thief was going to be caught up in the air with us? I don't think so. This is from Jesus Christ himself. Okay, so which one is wrong here? Now you can say, well, is the Bible wrong because Paul said this? Well, I look at what Paul was saying. He was asking what happens to the people who have already died. I don't know how that got interpreted and written back, but I can tell you that if there was a conflict here and it was between Paul and Jesus, guess who I'm going to choose? Jesus here. So Jesus tells us that the day that you die, you are in heaven in that same day, or in paradise, wherever that place may be, in the same day. He does not say, in the day of the rapture, you'll be here in heaven with me. He didn't say on the day of the rapture. He didn't say in the time of judgment, you'll be with me. No, he said that very day, right? You got me? So these people who do these in, you know, pictures of interpretation of people are going to explode out of their graves and meet us up in the air in a rapture thing just makes no sense to me. You kind of understand my logic on that? Very good. So let's move on to the next part. So another thing, to give credit to Paul, he was trying to console the people who were there. If you look at the message, what he was being written to, the context of the people that he was writing to and talking to, they were asking about the people who had died. He's trying to give them consolation, and this is not a, hey, this is what's going to happen in the future. But now let's fast forward and let's actually rewind from Paul and go back to what did Jesus say in Matthew 20. Matthew 20, I'm telling you right now, go pull that one up here. I'm not going to pull out all the verses here tonight. I'll do this maybe on another series tonight. I just want to go over the microphone and I'm just talking off the chest here, because I really want to motivate some of you guys to get your butts going. Okay, I think a lot of you people are coming home, chilling on your couches, getting fat, and you're not prepared. You're going to be caught off guard, and I feel for you. I'm not trying to chastise you. I'm trying to motivate you to get you going. I hope this is positive for you. I am trying to be positive at the same time. Like I am. This is just me. I'm wired this way. If you don't like me, that's fine. I'm not here for everybody to like me. I'm here to do a job that God called me to do. Okay, I'm here to do the best job, and I want Him. I want His pat on the back. I want His approval when I get there to be like, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. You did what I called you to do, even though it was hard." Dude, it'd be a lot easier for me to come out here and be nice to everybody. Oh, hey, how's it going? Hey, vibes, 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 everybody, vibes, vibes, vibes. How's the vibes? Woo! You guys know who I'm talking about. That ain't me. It's never gonna be me. But I do. You know what? I love you guys more than those turds do. Those guys love themselves. That's why they put on that attitude. They love themselves. All they care about is themselves. I loved like listening to Trades by Matt the other day. Like he's like, it affects me none. It affects me zero. Again, it's all about them. Me. It's so funny when they're talking about like this stuff affects you. Like as long as it doesn't affect them, they don't care. They don't care about anything. Worthless people. You want to follow worthless people? Man, listen, trust me. Unsubscribe from here. Go hang out over there. You got vibes, vibes, vibes all day. You know, play some paradise background music. Hang around with a bunch of frauds and scammers. Go for it. So back on track here. Jesus said, the end of days are going to be the hardest ever. Go read it for yourself. He's talking to his disciples. His disciples actually are asking him, what is it going to be like in the end days? So contextually speaking, his disciples specifically asked him, what will it be like? And he said, it will be worse than you have ever seen it. Worse than the earth has ever seen before and ever since and never will be again. It will be the absolute worst of the worst times ever. Now, mind you, we've already had the flood, okay? The flood that covered the entire earth and everybody drowned. I mean, that was pretty bad, okay? Pretty bad times, but he said the tribulations will be way worse. Yikes! Does that sound like escapism? We're going to get to escape from the disaster. Did he say, oh, don't worry, disciples. I'm going to come and I'm going to rapture you first. So y'all aren't going to have to go through this, but everybody else is going to get really screwed. No, he gave warnings to everyone, said it's going to be the worst ever. Now, why would he tell you that unless he wanted you to prepare? Okay. And now I'm going to come back to this story about the 7 years thing here in just a moment, but I want to give you that. So Jesus told us that basically, I don't think that the rapture thing is legit because Jesus would have said it. That's my personal feeling on it. Now, there may be a time during the tribulation at which he comes. I can see there are interpretations in there that can be read that way. You guys can go and do some deep dive on that. But I'm going to talk to you guys about how you can prepare for both ways. How about this, okay? Because here's my scenario. Here's what I teach. Like, even in our trading, like, we can win both directions. If the market goes up, the market goes down, we can win both directions. When people like to give me two choices, my wife knows, my kids and family members and friends who are around me know, like, my favorite word is both. Both. I don't know if it's my favorite word, but they'll hear me say this often. So I'm presented with two choices, like you can have this or this. I'm like, how about both? Okay? And this happens to me in a lot of things. I will figure out a way to have both. When a lot of people think you can only have one or the other, I'll figure out how to have both. Got me? So, and I will push as hard as I possibly can to do that. A lot of people say, oh, Vinny, well, it's because you're smart and whatnot. Well, it's kind of like what Albert Einstein said. I love what he said. He said, I'm not necessarily smarter than everybody, but I stay with problems longer. I am relentless. I never give up. I will stay with the problem until I solve it. You get me? And I've done that with a lot of problems, so I have learned a lot of things. That's how I became wise. Okay? And also specifically asking God for wisdom, because he says in the book of James, he says, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask for it, believing that he will receive it and it will be given to him. But if he doubts, he will not. In fact, he will be as a double-minded man, and he will be cast this way and that way and dashed into the rocks and blown and broken into pieces. So it comes with a warning. If you're going to ask him for wisdom, believe you're going to receive it. If you ask him and you're mocking him for it and you don't believe that you're going to receive it because God said, if you ask me for it and you don't believe you're going to get it, I will destroy you. So be very careful with that one in the book of James if you're going to latch onto that one tonight, as many people who I've mentored in this spiritual area in the past have learned. Okay. So Full swing back. What do we do to prepare for the end? I personally believe that whether you believe in the rapture or you don't, if you are in the camp with me that believes we may have to work our way through the tribulation, there's good things here. It does say that there are ways to escape it, but you would have to prepare. How long would you have to prepare for? It's 7 years. In fact, he even says, he said, unless the Lord shrink its time, but luckily for everyone that he will not let it go past 7. Okay, this is essentially what he said in Matthew 20, and reiterated in the final book of the Bible in Revelations. It will be 7 years. There will be 3.5 years, and then a major pivot point at the 3.5 year, and the final 3.5 will be the absolute worst of the worst. The first 3.5 years, though, will give you plenty of signs and scenarios, which we may already have started to traverse into, because he did say, listen, you will see the signs. You will see them. He said there will be wars and rumors of wars. He said there will be earthquakes in diverse places. Folks, did y'all see what just happened in the earthquake over there in, not Yemen, Turkey? Did y'all see that? Did y'all see those buildings just collapsing? This is crazy, folks. This is starting to happen in the places where this all began. We're talking about the Fertile Crescent, where believed to be where Adam and Eve first, had where they were in the garden. They just refound where Mount Sinai actually was, and we're doing blasphemous things on Mount Sinai, replacing the 10 Commandments with the 10 environmental commandments now. Like, this stuff is absolutely blasphemous, and look, the Lord says, I will not be mocked. We're coming to the end, folks. So, like, you can go and study all that stuff. Is where, okay, back to the prepared part. Let's get back to the prepared part. Okay, so how do you prepare? I believe that Joseph gave us the answer a long time ago. The Bible's written there for a reason. Every story has its reason and its purpose. Sometimes it's multifaceted, and I believe that the Joseph passage was one of those. I do not find it coincidental that it was a 7 years. There's a lot of 7 year things in the Bible. Even the Jewish people and in Israel, they have a lot of things with the number 7. The 7 is a number of perfection. You're talking about every 7th year. Somehow they do something with forgiving all debts and starting over. There's all this stuff that happens in 7 year cycles. Okay, so I believe that there will be 7 years of feast before 7 years of famine. I currently believe that if you're here within Algobox, it has been put into my spirit I believe that Algobox was put into my mind to allow good people. You'll notice that I run off the turds, right? I don't let any of these shitbags in our crew, and that only good people are allowed to use Algobox, because I want people who are, I don't know, it's my personal feeling that I pick and choose yes, I pick and choose winners and losers. Now, at the end of the day, I've kind of gone with ways on this. I know there's scripture passages that says that the rain falls on the just and the unjust. And listen, anybody can turn around. Anybody can ask for forgiveness. Anybody can turn around in a heartbeat. So no one is beyond saving. But it does need to start with an apology and a turning of a heart. Okay. But Algobox was created for good people during this particular time, I believe, in this season, to be able to collect the capital that's necessary to do what I'm about to tell you to do. Because it's not cheap to save up 7 years of food for your family. You got me? Because this is exactly where I'm going. I am going with the Joseph plan. You want to know what I'm talking about? I call it the Joseph plan. It's very simple. If Joseph were right here, right now, fast forwarded into the year 2023, and we told him, hey, we heard the tribulation was coming, 7 years of famine. What do you think we should do? He said, well, it worked for us before. What I would suggest is that you create some granaries and you store up 7 years so that you don't need anything for 7 years, and store up enough to help others as well. Did you guys know that? Because there were people that would come from all kinds of places. Even Joseph's own family, guess where they came? They came to Egypt because they were the only places that had enough grain to sell. So another thing, if you're saving up, don't just save up enough for yourself. Don't be selfish. Okay, save up enough for more than yourself. But of course, obviously, take care of your own. Sort of like when you're riding an airplane and they tell you put your oxygen mask on first before you try to put yours on your kids. Make sure that you can't do your kids any good if you're goner. So make sure you take care of yourself, and then make sure that you can take care of those around you. But I would urge you to do the calculations. Calculate out how many people are in your household. You also need to think. I mean, there's a lot of things you should really start thinking about. You're gonna have to start thinking about, what do you do without electricity? How are you going to come up with electricity? How are you going to start a fire? How are you going to boil water? Because a lot of this stuff, yeah, look, I'll tell you, some of the places that I've bought from. I just went ahead and I know it's a bit more expensive, but at this point, like, you look, I know I'm not a farmer. I'm not going to like learn the skills of farming and creating, crops and trying to raise chickens. People are like, oh, you should raise some chickens. You got some chickens. You got eggs all the time. Man, listen, like, we're finding out that, bro, you could have all the chickens in the world, and all of a sudden, one chemical leak, and they're all dead. What are you going to do then? Listen, I've just gone through all the scenarios. The best scenario is go get some of these food packs, right? The one that I use is called ReadyWise. Let me pull up my other screen over here, and we'll kind of talk about some of this stuff. Okay. Here was just briefly, like, look, there are people who are out there. If you're not on social media, I know, look, a lot of my guys here, you guys are all super smart. You're almost too smart for your own good. So a lot of you guys are not on social media. I know. And I used to be one of those guys too, but now I'm realizing, like, folks, this is the only place you're going to get truth, is from hanging around with people, with like-minded people who are getting sourced information from places that are not the mainstream media, that is bought and paid for by places like Pfizer and all these other little turd places that want to kill you. Okay, Bill Gates is buying up all the crops. He's buying up all the water for all water sources. He just invested in what's it called, Ecosystems. Have you ever seen that place? Takes care of water treatment facilities. What? Listen, if you ain't awake yet, like, I can't help you. Okay, but if you are awake, I'm just going to tell you tonight how to prepare. Right, what I've done, what I think you might want to do. It's up to you at the end of the day. But you can't say I didn't tell you. Okay, I'm not going to feel guilty about having not, like, warned the people who are in my crew. 5 trains derailed, 1 truck spill, now a massive 5-acre industrial fire in Florida, burning massive amounts of plastic, 7 ecological disasters in less than 2 weeks, and ramifications will impact America's food, water, health for decades to come. We're under attack. Yes, I believe this to be the case. This is not just the only one. This was the one that kind of summarized everything in the quickest way possible. So the group that I use, if you want to look up their stuff, called ReadyWise. And their stuff comes in these cool buckets. They've got them divided up into meat, vegetables, fruits. They've got specific ones for egg powders, milks, etc. The other item that you would need is water. Now, there's lots of ways to acquire water, but figure out your own way how you want to do that. I bought a ton of the 5-gallon water bottles and some water filter things. But these are the 2 things that you need. You need the food. You're going to need the water to typically hydrate the food, right? Because that's what you're doing. You're buying the stuff in freeze-dried packs, already done for you. Now, people are like, oh, I'll freeze-dry my own stuff. Look, man, if you got a lot of time on your hands, great. I don't know how much time you got left at this point, but you can get enough for 7 years. You want to know how? Like, it's a lot of food, folks. It is a lot of food. Okay. Now, mind you, maybe you won't be as active. Maybe it'll be, less. Maybe, that's one. Other thing is shelter. So what are you going to do about shelter? Folks, if you can pay off your place, or you can get to a place that you can pay off, get one. You can get one with a bunker in it like I got, do it. I would definitely recommend you have a bug out place to get to that is close to your main place. Does not have to be your main place. In fact, I would recommend that you not make it your main place and try to put it under different trust name, etc., so that it is less trackable, etc., and that you store all your stuff there. That's what I've been working on the last few days. You guys have not seen me around. I am serious about this stuff, folks, and I believe you should be as well. At least, look, I could be wrong. I hope that I'm wrong. I really hope that I am, but I cannot be responsible for having not at least told you guys. I knew, okay? And I told you the information. I gave you what I could tell you. And I also know that not everybody's going to be able to do this. I mean, I know that. I'm talking to people that before any of this, you really should go and watch my video entitled The Message. Vinny Emini, The Message. You need to watch that. You need to make sure that you know that even if you die, once you're dead, that you know where you're going to be in eternity. Okay? Do not make that mistake. There's a pass fail. You either accept Christ as your Savior or you're toast. Okay? None of this stuff matters. This does have a reward with it, though. I'm going to talk to you guys about why, with the Ready Wise pack, that I say that you need to get the meat packs, because there's a particular reward. He says, if I can find anyone during this time that is able to still provide meat, specifically meat for his family, because apparently that's going to be hard. Which, can you guys see how that could be hard? The fact that they're already trying to get us to eat bugs and trying to phase out, trying to tell you that it's bad to eat meat and stuff. Y'all hear this? I mean, y'all see this happening right in front of your eyes, right? I mean, are you awake yet? Maybe you're not. Look, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, well, look, you're hanging around the wrong people. You're already in the wrong crowds. You have already shut yourself off to the light. You're probably thriving in the darkness, or you believe that you are. Yeah, I don't know. This message is probably not for you. Like, you might be doomed. And I recognize the fact that there are people that were sent here by God himself to burn on the embers of hell. He says that. And it's probably because you chose Satan's side back when there was a choice, when the sons of God were given the opportunity to decide between choosing God's side and following Lucifer, when he decided to try to take God's place. There was a battle. I truly believe that you were there. I believe that we are sons of God. We were sent here and we'll return to him if we choose to. Our test is here on earth. That's my belief. You guys are going to check out those videos. So the message, number one. And then number two, go watch the second one called The Gospel. Okay, the gospel is not your typical gospel, folks. Okay, the word gospel means the good news. I got good news for you. Okay, but it's going to be hard for some of you to listen to. But some of you, it is going to enlighten you. It is going to give you the breath of air of life that you have been seeking and searching for. Because I go into a deep dive analysis on the meaning of life and spirituality and the way that God has written it to us in the good book. All right. Go check those out. But again, once you're past that, this is for the people who, okay, you're saved, you got that part taken care of, but now what do you want to do during this tribulation time? Take care of your family, take care of others, spread the gospel, tell people, listen, man, now's the time to turn. It's the last minute, okay? The last minute. Do you want to be in heaven or hell? It's very simple. Yes, there will be a choice. You don't believe in heaven or hell? Well, you're stupid, okay? You probably still believe in the Easter Bunny too. Look around you, folks. This place, like the earth around you, this didn't create itself. If you just, you could go study the moon, how the moon got here, how is the moon locked in its orbit on one side, the entire thing. There was a time before the moon was there. It was placed there. Like, listen, there are things beyond your understanding and comprehension. A lot of them, and they're hidden right there in front of plain sight. But most people are too busy. BUSY. You know what busy stands for? Give you a neat one here tonight. You always think, oh, I'm busy. I mean, you think busy is a good thing? Busy is the worst thing you can be. Show you why right now. What is busy? Being under Satan's yoke. Because you're too busy to pay attention to anything else. Your time is completely absorbed in you and your stuff. Your crap that you're trying to pay for all the time. Working a 9 to 5, driving an hour there, getting prepared in the morning for an hour, 2 hours of time just to get to work, 2 hours unwinding, getting home. BUSY. Busy. You don't have time to look around at this stuff to answer these questions, but the time clock keeps ticking regardless. Anyway, I'm encouraging you to wake up a little bit while you have a moment. I'm coming out here tonight to share with you that, listen, it's time to get real. If you're not, look, if it's like, well, I don't have the money to do it. Listen, I would suggest that if you're here in our program, get your crap together and start trading well. Start recording yourself. Do the stuff that I've told you to do. How many of you guys still haven't gone and done the settings? I created a video last night on the settings for your PC so that your PC would run like a boss. You know, some really cool new settings that I found, the taking off your memory randomizer and stuff inside your security that will speed your computer up like a boss. How many of you still haven't done that yet? How many of you still haven't gotten the dang mouse that I told you to get this G300S so that you can have full control over your system? I did a hotkeys video. How many of you guys have been practicing with the hotkeys so that you can get in and out quicker? You can add more contracts to your positions. So instead of making a couple $100, you're making a couple $1,000. You're not doing that yet? How are you gonna save up and buy this stuff that I'm telling you to do? I said, isn't even including the shelter. Like, do you own your home yet? Are you renting? You got a bug out plan? You might not just be you. You might need to get together with some people. You might need to talk about this with some people and invest together, get in a place together. Some people are always like thinking solo. Look, I'll help you. I'll not help you. Don't come and ask me for a handout. But I am telling you that there are people who you know, friends, family, whoever, you share this information with them, get serious about it, pull your resources, get your head out of your ass, stop being selfish, get your shit together. Seven years of feast, 7 years of famine. 7 years of famine's coming. Read Revelations if you haven't. But it's dangerous. Maybe just go look up some YouTube videos on what's it going to be like during the tribulation. Okay, there's lots of people who put videos out on this stuff. Prep. I'm talking about prep here tonight, folks. I think you should practice the mess out of what you're doing with AlgoBox. Get the extra capital that you need, and then buy the things that you need to prepare. Because this is not a grift, folks. I am telling you, this world is coming to a close. This is a test. Okay, this is not to put fear into you. In fact, you should be very excited. Okay, it's coming inevitably. Evil will not triumph for forever. You can look around you, you see all the evil around you, always seeming like, man, the Bible says that in the end days that which is evil will be called good, and that which is good shall be called evil. This is happening right in front of our eyes, folks. Right in front of you, right now. It's happening. And, Jesus actually makes fun of the people who are sitting there. You're staring at it and you still don't know. You're seeing it right happen in front of your face and you still think, look, let me tell you about some of you guys. I think there are many. I have my own friends who have this same mindset, right? I love them, right? But I know that all of them are holding out. They just think, oh, well, after Biden's out, things will get back to normal. I'm just waiting for it to get back to normal. Folks, there will be no return to normal. Let that sink in for a second. I'm telling you right now, there will be no return to normal. What you're seeing right now is the new normal. It will not get better. It will get darker. It will get worse. The test is whether or not you give in. The test is coming. The scripture actually says that there will be a time when you will choose between God and money, which I always thought was interesting. I always thought that passage when I was young, I thought this should say that you should choose between good and evil or between God and Satan. But he says you will either choose between God or money. Isn't that weird? You'll choose between God or money one day. And I was like, that's just so weird. Like that, I was like, that could not fathom that when I was young. Until all of a sudden, we were faced with it even last year, where people were like, you'll either submit to us, take this BS jab in your body. You'll either do this or you won't have a job. Ha! Jab or job. Wow. He really was going to put us through that test. Now you might say, well, Vinny, I don't think that's choosing between God or money. I think that was something else. Okay, well, maybe. Let me ask you something. Could you not feel that was a lie? Could you not feel the lies? It's like this. It's acceptance of a lie. Okay? It's like the people who have been shown that ICT is a fraud and yet still follow him anyways. I mean, like, that's just completely retarded. Absolute fraud, scammer, con artist. And you're like, no, I want to stay. Listen, I can't help you. You are the dark wonders. You are the ones who love darkness and evil, and you can't be saved. You're screwed. Okay. But that is the acceptance of a lie. Okay? My opinion. Have you accepted the lie? Have you accepted the lie? Well, I think that was a big one. You accepted the lie. I mean, you had to know. I don't know. I don't know if you had to. Listen, there are some people who are innocent. I think so. Okay. But it's being proven. It's being proven out. I mean, I'm still waiting on my apologies from my friends. I got some friends who were just like, no, Vinny, you're wrong. Oh, really? Hey, my DMs are open. You can come and apologize anytime. Come back and tell me I was right. You accepted the lie so that you could have a job. It's my opinion. Entitled to it. You're entitled to yours. Who's the father of lies? You might say, oh, well, now you're trying to extrapolate, Vinny. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, most of you guys, y'all been in church. If you don't go to church now, you know this stuff. Deep in your heart, you know it's true. How many more lies are you going to have to be forced to accept over the next couple of years? I wonder. I don't know. But it's only going to get worse. I think this first round was just a test. Wait till it gets really hard. Wait till they're literally like, you're not going to be able to use digital currency. You're not going to be able to use any money if you haven't gotten this thing under your arm or whatever. And you're going to take the mark of the beast. You already took the lie one. You already took the jab one. So why not? What's the difference in taking the next one? I don't know. It's coming, folks. I can't tell you everything that's coming. But I can tell you that right now is the time to prepare. And if you're not getting serious about it, again, I hope this is my video to you to say, get serious. Maybe that's what I'll call it. I haven't figured out what I'm going to put in the thumbnail for this. Maybe I'll call it Get Serious. I don't know. I'll think about it here in the next few minutes, but I just needed to get this off my chest. I feel like that's what I wanted to tell you tonight. So I hope I've covered what to... Let me pull up my ReadyWise stuff real quick. Let me pause this, and I'm going to pull up my ReadyWise and show you the kind of stuff I got. All right, so it's readywise.com. So again, first thing, if you want that reward that I was telling you about in Revelation, where Jesus himself said, when I return, if I find a man who can still provide meat for his family, look, I'm going for that reward. He says, I will put you in charge of my storehouses. Now, I don't know if that's a job I want or not, but it sounds like it was pretty cool. Hey, I want the option, so I'm cool. I'm like a big person. I'm a big challenge person. I love to compete, so... Sure, I'll compete to have enough meat for my family for 7 years, so I'm all about making sure I've got the meat bundles. You can come and pick some of these out. They got a 360 serving, whatnots, and again, you have to multiply it out times how many family members you're going to be covering, etc. to make sure you got enough for the time. But they've got these things broken down. You can actually call them on their telephone. They've got a real nice guy. I wish I could remember his name. I've talked to several times on the phone. But they will ship this stuff to you. It looked like, if I went to their website first right now, they've got a President's Sale coming up here, so that's pretty cool. Again, I'm not promoting them. I don't get any kickback from them. You guys just want to know what I do. I'm just telling you guys what I do, okay? I haven't gotten any kickbacks from anybody. I've never gotten a kickback from Ninja Trader. I don't get a kickback from Apex. I don't get a kickback from any of the places that I recommend you guys. You guys know. I go out there, I find out what is the absolute best, and I tell you what to go and do. Now, I got their other stuff too. I didn't just get their meat. I went over here to their fruits. I was like, oh yeah, cool. I'll get some fruits. Cool. They got some vegetables. Coffee. You don't necessarily have to get their coffee. I got the milk and eggs thing because I'm like, man, I like my milk and eggs. So they got powdered egg stuff. What's cool too is, so if the good Lord extends our time here when we go on camping trips, I'm gonna bring some of this stuff with us, and me and my family are gonna practice serving it up. Like, you kind of gotta know how do you serve this stuff up? Taste it, try it out. Make sure you buy salt and sugar, like stuff that you really need to make a list. Get some vegetable buckets. Yeah, all that stuff. Anybody's like, oh, I'm gonna grow my own food, blah blah. Listen, folks, read Revelations. You know there's gonna be a time when the sun is blotted out. All you guys who bought your damn solar panel stuff, you think solar panels are gonna work? What are you gonna do with the solar panel when the sun's blocked? Think about it. Yeah, you're going to need that propane or gas generator. Yeah, you might want some other sources. Yeah. You know how easy it is to drill for a well, too, by the way, on your land if you got your bug out place? Have them drill a well. It's not expensive. A few $1,000s. Trust me. Just drill down and you'll hit water. Go look it up. I found it out myself. I thought it was going to be more difficult, but no. Man, these people know what's up. There's a lot of people who know a lot more stuff than we do, folks, right? Just got to search for it. And right now, we've got everything you need. The Lord, while the difficulty is there, he says he always provides a way of escape, folks. We have the capacity to search for anything these days. We've got Chat GPT these days that can answer any question for you, for crying out loud. But you can search for anything, you can gather information, but you do have to put forth the effort. You can't just sit around. Okay. Just had that stuff on my chest here tonight, folks. Wanted to share that with you. On the positive notes, folks, I haven't seen you guys. You guys are crushing it. You guys are doing a great job. I'm just encouraging you. Push it even more, folks. Like, push it harder, farther. Get in there, practice, get this stuff going. I'm seeing a lot of good P&Ls, okay? But, I mean, push it harder, okay? This is I'm good. I'm glad that some of you guys are practicing here. You got get your playback in, right? Let's go up to the beginning of the day today. There were some people hitting, I saw 25,000. There were some $20,000 players. These are some of these days. Like right now, you're going to need to hit those kind of days for a while. Here's a $1,800 day from one of our members. Here is a $4,000 day from our members. Here is back and forth, closing out the day. One of our new members up 3K though. Well done. Way to stay in there. Way to hang it. Well, that one's real nice. Mr. B throwing down $750. Excellent work. CJ ran out of bullets. How many? 563. That's great. What do we do here? 2,100. Excellent. Okay. Neo struggled a little bit, ended the day in positive, pulled himself out of $1,000 drawdown, and hey, you pulled out over $1,000 drawdown. Let's figure out how to pull out of the drawdown. Here's one of our members pulling down 2 different accounts, a $20,000 and $15,000 account from Central AM. Well done. $730, 100% winners for MVP. Well done. Aaron Corin had a great day. Again, a lot of you guys doing great. All I'm going to do is encourage you. Push it harder, push it farther. This is the time, folks. I believe we're in that 7 years of feast before the 7 years of famine. This is the opportunity to save up everything that you need. Get there, okay? If I can help you out, if you need some encouragement in your trading, you want to talk about it, you got questions, I'll try to answer them. I'm available there in Discord. If you want to get on a call, hit me up on Discord, get on a chat. Love you guys. Wow.